The Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal Big Footy rules still apply.
Alright, so this is the Flogcast for round 21. Bay 13's resident baker, Starburns, is here, and I'm joined by the suburban netballer from Collingwood, Morgan Ashley.
Greetings.
And Bay 13's Robin Williams from North, Dan.
Can this be the last week I get referred to as Robin Williams?
Next week you can be Robbie Williams.
I would much prefer that.
Can you sing?
'Cause at least, no, I can't sing, but that guy's still alive.
Is Robbie Williams a sad clown, though?
No, I don't think he is. I think he's a happy clown.
He just wants to
I'm
rock.
not.
DJ.
Yeah. I'm not a sad clown. What are you giving on about?
You know what?
Hello, friends.
I went looking to see when you'd been online because you turned up late, Dan. And I hate to get sidetracked here, but I'm going to do it because it amused me greatly. Yeah, I went looking to see when you were going to turn up, and I clicked your profile to see when was he last on. And the top of your profile wall is a post from Grug, which says, "Grug hopes that one day you will cheer up and find happiness." And this was back in March.
Yeah, but that moron was posting on everyone's profile. I don't
Yes,
even know
but
who
he
that
chose
is.
to talk about how you need to find happiness.
So, is that you? Are you Grug?
No, Grug was
No.
Vesty. Everybody knows that.
Bestie was Grug.
Oh, well, Vesty's just an autistic shithead.
I got Grug cheerfully waves at Morgan.
I forget. Did I respond back?
You said blow me.
Oh, well, yeah.
And on that note, beer or tears? Who wants to go first? Big week of football. Big weekend of football.
I have tears. I
Sad?
have tears. Sad? No, I'm not sad. Fuck off, idiot. I'm not sad. I'm fine. Alright? I turn up. I'm still here. I'm good. But I do have tears. And I have tears for the predictable good bloke propaganda that we're getting for Andrew Gaff in light of his actions over the weekend.
Here.
What, are we actually getting good bloke propaganda on this?
Oh, heaps of it.
I don't care how much of a good bloke you are. There are some things where you just can't fucking excuse.
Who he is as an individual is irrelevant.
Yes, because he did what he did.
Yeah. And
It's as irrelevant as how old Andrew Brayshaw is.
Well, that is, well, to a degree that is relevant. Because you're talking about an 18-year-old. I mean, I know legal age is 18 and you're considered an adult, but at that age, you're essentially still a kid. Physically and mentally, you're still growing as a human being.
Yeah, you're picking on the littlest guy, in a way.
Yeah.
I think the age does play a slight role.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what's being shoved down our throat, that it doesn't matter how old he is. This is by the West Coast supporters. It doesn't matter how old he is because he's an adult, he's playing a man's game, blah, blah, blah. If you're not going to consider that when you consider what happened, then we're not going to consider the 175 games of this good bloke.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Yeah.
I get your argument.
I don't agree. But if I have to defend the situation to idiots on Twitter for one more second, I'll spew up. And Suze, you're fucking wrong. Stop fighting me on Twitter.
Please link us to that.
Yes, please link us and quote what she said.
Yes. It's been a while since I've seen a decent Suzeism.
Just be careful. She might call Acorn onto you though.
No, she doesn't hate me. She just wanted me to consider that he feels guilty. And I don't care that he feels guilty. And she says he's remorseful, and I don't care that he's remorseful. Because he is sorry for what he did only because it affects him. At the time, that's sad about.
I think you can be genuinely sorry about doing it, but it does not change the fact that you did.
Who cares?
It's just like you
Doesn't
can.
matter.
It's to use the fact of the murderer who goes into jail and comes out. You know, it rarely happens, but actually comes out reformed and remorseful and all that shit, and actually might become a decent human being. It doesn't change what they did. And this is the same.
No, and you only need a snap. You only need a snap once. It doesn't matter if you've never done it before. You've done it now.
Yeah, that's with you. It doesn't matter if he's Barry Hall or not. It's still the same fucking thing.
If we as a collective of supporters don't boo this man for the entirety of his career, then that's an injustice. I will boo him every time he goes near the ball.
For North.
For North.
Oh,
Even with my North scarf on.
No. We don't know.
Played his last game for West Coast, so I think that much is clear.
So yeah, you're going to get 12 weeks, Gaff, and you deserve it.
I think you get 12. I reckon you'll get 8 to 10. It's a very strange brain fart. If to draw the parallel between Staker and Hall again, Staker's giving a fair bit of niggle before he gets belted. This one's pretty tame, and then all of a sudden he's escalated it. He's gone like 4 steps up in one go. He's escalated that from about a 3 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 in one go instead of going 4, 5, 6. Letting it play out like that. He's just gone straight for the fist over nothing. He's not a good bloke. I don't care who you are. He's got a career to earn everyone's respect. Oh, half a career to earn everyone's respect back. And never do it again. And people won't forget, but at least it'll be an isolated incident, I guess.
He didn't have my respect to begin with. He's gone 100 after this. Well, hopefully Brayshaw can... is it too early to say what his injury, how many weeks he'll be out for?
He's going to eat through a straw for the next month.
Oh, jeez.
Yes. It's fucked up.
That's it. His season's finished then.
Yeah.
Poor guy. No steaks for you. Unless you put it in the blender.
It is interesting that all of a sudden the fact that everybody sulks about, the outcome shouldn't matter, but then when he gets a broken jaw, I think everyone just accepts that the penalty should be severe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's the whole argument over outcome and all that shit, and everyone's like, but just because someone got concussed or didn't shouldn't mean weeks or weeks. But, geez, break his jaw, and yes, he must get 12 because he broke his jaw.
And his teeth.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, it's just funny that sometimes we care about the outcome and sometimes we're supposed to not.
Yeah. I've got goo. With Josh Jenkins. I think it was absolutely hilarious that he told the truth. Just so funny. And it just makes it even more amusing because it justifies the poor posters complaining and there's nothing they can do about it. And the AFL and the AFL don't even agree, so it's just like bad luck.
Well,
I think they agree that it's inconclusive.
It's inconclusive.
I love the fact that he just said. I love the fact that he said that his grandmother told him not to tell fibs. So hit the post.
It is absolutely hilarious. And Kern going on his massive fucking sook over it. It's like the AFL need to sort this, and everyone's saying that. And it's like, what do they need to sort? The system worked as it's supposed to. What sort of other camera angle do they want to see that?
Why can we not have something in the ball that once it hits the post, like a light goes off, like the AFL X posts that light up?
Because all it takes is one idiot to crash into it and the thing goes, or it malfunctions, or...
Yeah, but
so
if it's like...
Yeah,
if
a player's
like
having a shot,
yes,
and you've got opposition players hitting...
Listen, brains, that's why I said, why can't we have something in the ball, so when the ball hits the post, like, I don't know, something magnetic.
What's to stop the defender from replicating a slight
He doesn't
touch
have
come on.
Fuckwit.
Well, yeah, but it can still be manipulated, though, I think. That's the point I'm trying to...
What? Harry Taylor going to come out with the fucking bag of magnets?
In his sock.
Start throwing them at the posts.
Well, how heavy is this bit of technology that you're referring
I
to?
don't know, Dan. It's not as heavy as a drone.
Well, you make the ball heavier though, Morgan.
What's wrong with drones above the goalposts? I reckon that would work. Just let them hover up in the air. That wouldn't be ridiculous at all.
Why can't we get a drone to bounce the ball in the middle?
Why don't we just put a cup of
and then it can fly off to the goals
on the top of the goal post, and if it falls off, then it's,
if it falls off,
it's just a post. If it falls off,
it's like the
only if it
bales.
falls off. Yeah, like the bales. Yes, exactly. Boganish.
Why can't we just adopt the fucking same thing that cricket does? Because they have a review system that generally works, and just go with overturn the howlers that are clearly obvious, and if you can't overturn it, then don't. I don't know what's wrong with the current system except that port flogs are melting.
Do any of you like the idea of if it hits the post but it still goes through the goals, it's a goal, and if it hits the post and comes back into play on?
No, okay.
No.
So no, I hate that. I hate that.
I like that. I think it makes it easier for everyone. It's a clear-cut rule.
I hate that, but I also don't like the version where it can, if it bounces back into play off the post, it counts as a behind. That's also part of it. Or the suggestion, I don't like that
either.
either.
The post and comes back into play, it's play on.
No, but there's another situation where they say that if it goes through, just treat it as though it's gone through, but if it does bounce back into play, it's a point, which I like better than play on, but I still don't like.
Okay.
I'm not for it. I just think that, because I don't think Tom Hawkins deserves to kick a goal in 2009, and that's ultimately what it comes down to. Can you accept that being counted, or can? No, I can't. We've never played that way.
Well, I kind of liked Hinkley's presser. He was just like a big thing of salt.
There was a lot of salt. There was a lot of salt around this weekend too.
A lot of salt.
Speaking
I liked Ross Lyon's presser.
That was brilliant. Without being an absolute cunt about it, that was like the most diplomatic way of shaming Gaff that I could think of.
Because what Ross said, apart from the 100 metres off the ball, everything else he said was just fact. He didn't say how he felt about it.
Except the bit about his son.
Oh, yeah. As he got up, he said, if that was my son, I wouldn't be happy about it. But I thought he handled that the way I'd want my coach to handle that. And
his eyes didn't dart. He was like full on, just like, it was intense stare down. Like, if you're a journo there, your face is probably melting off under that.
Or a female staffer.
Just on shitty ideas, I guess, with the Jenkins thing and the Gaff thing. Fucking every time this comes up, someone suggests red cards. Where are we on this?
No.
I don't mind sending off. I just don't like the red card, and now because it's too soccer-ish. I think there needs to be a different wording for it.
I don't care about that. It's just you can't give Razor Ray this sort of power because you know he'll abuse it.
Yeah, but it needs to be clear-cut what you have to do to warrant a send-off. If you're just late at a collision and you get someone in the head...
Yeah, really, that's what I mean. It's just like, they talk about would Jeremy Cameron have been red-carded for the Andrews hit, and...
Or maybe you don't entrust the on-field umpires with that decision. You have an umpire that watches replays and...
Yeah, well, we'll get Michael Christian to come in and make another debatable call.
And then he sees something he doesn't like and he informs the umpires via radio and they stop the play and the guy has to get off the ground.
I don't see what the point of it is, in that if you do this sort of thing, you will get rubbed out for 8 weeks. Is it worth it for a half of football, particularly when Freo weren't going to win that game anyway, and sometimes it's happened in that. And everyone cites the grand final. Well, maybe you could have a separate rule once for the grand final with fucking one person watching it, but I don't know. Like, until someone snipes someone in a grand final, it's just a hysterical hypothetical for mine. I don't think we need it for any other game.
Don't need to make rules for something that's never occurred before.
Because every other scenario where that has happened, the suspension is far outweighs any benefits from knocking someone out of a game for a quarter or a half or whatever it is. Because 6 weeks is a long time if you're bug, or 8 weeks is a long time if you're gaff, or 12 weeks or whatever the fuck it is. He might miss a flag because of it. I've got goo. I'll be really quick. I have vindication goo. I think we can all bask in this little one. Those of us who've been pro state of the game all season. I think we got a nice big tick we have this last month, but certainly this week I think we got a nice big tick. Not only did we have a whole bunch of close games, but a lot of them were fairly high scoring. Even the pressure fest Richmond Geelong was still 80 odd. You know, fucking what's not to love about football at the moment?
Not going to change anything, unfortunately. The rules are going to be changed.
Well, they don't really have a mandate anymore, so good luck to them. But people hate the changes, and there's no. I don't know. I don't think they can, man.
The court of public opinion is against them.
The court of public opinion is smashing them at the moment. Like, it was against them more than 50% already, and this, like, timing is everything. As someone said, it would have been funny if this was a coach's conspiracy to just unchain or loosen the shackles on the players for a week, just to open the game up so that the AFL had to back down, and then they can go back to clogging it up. But I don't agree with that. This is just evolution. Evolution always comes out. Geelong beat Roos's Flood years ago, and the press came in and Hawthorn kicked it around, and evolution always wins. Swings and roundabouts.
So Bucks was right.
Of course he was right. Fucking, funnily enough, Buckley, one of the best players of the last 20-odd years, 20-odd years, happens to know, and who isn't paid to write stories, you know, just for the sake of it and justify his job, happens to know what he's talking about. Fuck me dead. But he's not the only one, though. I think.
But I think he was the loudest about it.
True.
And I appreciate when somebody stands up.
Yes, because somebody had to.
No, and there's a hell of a lot of fucking Alan Richardson yes men in the AFL coaching ranks. Or
fucking senile old coots like Malcolm Bligh. Who's always been a left field weird thinker. But, you know, if you throw enough, you know, he's come off a couple of times throwing the darts at the board, but just because you ride a few times doesn't mean you didn't miss the board a few times either. I think, yeah, there's goo for all of us, I think. Yeah, because we've been, at least us three, have been pretty strong on no rule changes and shit like that. Especially Dan.
Yep, 10 years.
The 10-year rule. Let's go into the recaps, and we'll go with North versus Brisbane. North versus the Bryans. You got out of jail, Dan?
Yes and no. I think we're leading for the majority of the game, so they would have pinched it if they won. Let's be real about that. But Brisbane were good. North did enough, and they won. Another solid win, Starburns.
Oh. But Cam Rayner's little brain fade was.
Is it a brain fade?
It's a brain fade from there, kicking around the corner.
A lot of players kick around the corner from that sort of angle.
That's a pretty close to directly in front angle to go around.
He just missed in that instance. I mean, if he'd kicked the goal, he's no one's going to say that was the wrong type of kick to take.
Yeah, but if he kicks a drop punt and misses, no one's going to say that's the wrong type of kick to take either. Like it's.
Well, then you've got people saying, "Well, you should have done the around the corner kick."
No one's going to say that if you kick. No one's going to say that if you miss a drop punt. No one goes from there. It's an easy kick to really fuck up from a pretty gettable position.
Maybe he thought there wasn't much time to go, and I don't have much time to do this around the corner kick, so I'm just going to do it now before the siren goes because I won't be able to do it.
Well, you know what? If the siren goes, just kick a drop punt. If you think the siren's going to go. That was literally what I was about to say. Like, he could have been Courtney Dempsey, really.
Yep.
That would have been the worst of them all.
Oh, in this, we won. North deserved to win. I fucking hate the ladder this year. The ladder sucks. Because every time North wins, we either go backwards or we stay in the same spot. We've never.
You're running on the treadmill.
We're like, yeah, we are. That's a good analogy. We're on the treadmill. We've been 9th and 10th throughout most of the season, and yet we have like 11 wins. I mean, you could win 13 or 14 games this year and still not play finals this year. It's ridiculous.
Someone will miss out with 13 wins this year. Guarantee it.
That is disgusting. That shouldn't happen.
Well, if you don't want it to happen, win more games.
But if you've won 13 games, you've won more games than you've lost.
Yeah, no shit. Well, teams have missed out with 12 wins, and that's more than you've lost.
Yeah, that's stiff, but 13's ridiculous.
That's just the way it is. It's very tight at the top, and it's very poor at the bottom. Blame Carlton. Don't blame Carlton and Gold Coast. Don't blame anyone else. And you lost to Gold Coast. Blame that. And Essendon lost to Essendon too. I said it, Dan. Teams that lose to Essendon will rue and lament it later in the year.
Well, we haven't missed the finals yet. I mean, we could still get there. I don't know.
You could, but if you'd lost this week, it might have been game over. You were a Cam Rayner brain fade from being gone, just about. In fact, if Mitch Wallace hadn't had a brain fade, you might already be gone too.
Well, how many? What is it? Essendon or Mitch Wallace or this other kid that's stopping North from playing finals this year?
No, none of them, because you got out of jail on Mitch Wallace and Cam Rayner, so you're there. You're still on the treadmill. You haven't fallen off. Before we move on, what do we think about the Fagan thing? Did we see that?
Well, you mean him putting his arms around Rayner?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that's what the coach would do for a younger player who, in that scenario, I suppose. I mean, wasn't surprised.
Thought it was all right. It did scream decent culture. I think there's some clubs where you might not see that.
Like where? You don't think Stuart Dew would do that? Or
Stuart Dew might crush someone doing that.
Who's that little shit from Carlton that's coach?
Brendan Bolton. Well, if he could reach his arm that high.
Did we talk about the sledge that Corn delivered on him a few weeks ago?
What was it?
About him not playing a single game of AFL football?
No.
That is one of the greatest coaching sledges I've ever heard.
Fucking...
Because, like most people, I just assumed that he was just a nobody AFL player that played maybe
state league football,
80 games. That doesn't count. He's not played a single game of AFL football, and he's an AFL coach. Yeah,
well, you know what? I counter that with the fact that Kane Corns has played 300 AFL games and he still dribbles like a retard. So it doesn't really entitle you. It doesn't really make a difference either way.
No, but his point was even though it was sledgy, it was fair. I mean, he was saying that there's pressure at Carlton, and there's probably players within the locker rooms. And he's saying, from his experience, players talk like this. They would say that, this guy, he hasn't played an AFL game. What would he know? He's our coach. And Carlton are struggling. And I mean, it was a very
cheap shot. No wonder you appreciated it.
It was, but it was a very valid point that he was making. I liked it. Anyway, is he one of those guys that would not put his arms around?
No, I think he'd try. I was talking more Scott Brothers or Ross Lyon.
Really?
Mm.
No, the Scott Brothers are passionate. They'd get around.
Clarko.
No, I think Ross showed another weekend that he'd put his arm around his player.
Maybe behind closed doors.
I really liked, despite the game incident, I really liked Adam Simpson leaving the coach's box to go and sit next to him on the bench.
Yeah, that was good until he opened his gob in the press conference.
I thought that was very well done.
I think that's where the humanity sort of does come into it a bit with Gaff, because you could tell once he actually realised what he's gone ahead and done, that it's almost like the wanting the ground to swallow him up sort of thing.
Yeah, it's just like, mate, I've been where you've been to. I've hit players. I had sex with a rubber chicken and messed up. I know that you're going to be in a bit of strife. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny, so I'm here for you.
Had sex with a rubber chicken.
He did. We all remember Boris the chicken.
He didn't have sex with Boris the chicken.
Didn't fuck it.
Boris the chicken fucked the female chicken, didn't it?
Didn't the chicken get passed around?
No, I don't think so. That's a pretty St Kilda thing.
Surely nobody fucked the chicken.
Carey probably did.
Come on, Dan.
The duck fucked the chicken.
I mean, I don't know.
Bunch of chicken fuckers. Fucking hell. Fuck.
Imagine getting consoled on the bench by a chicken fucker.
We've all been there. I fucked a chicken. Same. You punched a child. I fucked a chicken.
We're basically the same.
We're basically the same. We will get through this.
He's going to take inspiration from him.
How Simpson came back from his chicken fucking incident and managed to become a respected AFL coach.
There's nothing you can't come back from in the AFL. You can fuck a chicken and still be an AFL coach. It's amazing.
Anything else on... Yeah, we've sort of transitioned back to the West Coast Freo game. Was there anything else on Gap or that before we are absolutely done?
Well, how many do you think you'll get?
9.
I think he was at 10. I think he deserves 12 to 16.
Whew. Dan, you're not going to have him for half the season next year.
I don't want him at all.
Well, I wonder how this damages his salary prospects when the time comes, knowing that this is like the Coles recruiting tippet, except that they know in advance that he's going to miss half the year.
I don't think it'll affect his currency. If clubs want to get him and he wants to go, then
they're paying him for the first year. He's not going to even play.
Well, potentially, yeah. We'll see tomorrow how many weeks he gets. Imagine if he only gets like 4 or 5. Imagine.
No, he won't.
It could happen.
It won't.
It might.
They couldn't possibly have him play finals.
No,
could not.
As someone said, I reckon 7 at least. We'll see him out of finals no matter what happens.
Do you guys remember the Tex Walker elbow on... Who was it?
I remember the Tom Bug incident, which was more mild than this last year, and he got 6, was it? Or 7? 6?
6.
Yeah. If Jeremy Cameron got 5, then this is going to be...
He only should have gotten 1 or 2 for that.
I agree with you, but if they gave him 5, they're going to really cut. They're going to throw the book at Gaff.
This is not something that they can excuse in any way by it being in a contest, anything like that. He threw a punch at somebody, and that is the bottom line. And whether he was lower than originally thought he would be, or it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Once you have the intent to hit somebody and you connect and you cause the damage you have done, then pay the consequences. And that's all that matters.
It's not even the Stevie J Baker one where Stevie J whacks him because Baker was fucking, like, punching him first and shit. There's nothing to this. It's just out of nowhere. He hits him smack bang in the face and does just about the maximum damage you could do for something like that. Do we want to say anything else about the showdown other than Jenkins?
Yeah, good goal. Well done.
Cracking game. Absolutely great game.
The showdowns are the most underrated matchup in the AFL. The fact that I know why the TV system don't have it the way they do, but the fact that we don't see those on a Friday night or a Saturday night generally is pretty piss poor. I think when we get fucking Carlton or, as this week says, St Kilda Essendon, you're guaranteed a good contest.
Yeah. They're coin flips. They're great games.
Basically what Anzac Day was for a while there before Essendon got into the drugs and haven't really looked like it since. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Ollie Wines fucking it up, choking it up with the Cam Rayner style kick, but missing it even worse.
Actually, I'm going to have tears as well because Dan said I do it always
I
halfway through.
I knew it. Go ahead.
You said people who can't kick a drop punt shouldn't be playing football. If you're on a 20-degree, if you're like on a 45-degree angle and you can't kick a drop punt, you shouldn't be playing AFL football.
Yeah, I get why they do the step arounds, but Jack Revolt, I believe he said it before. He won't banana it unless he's worse than 45, and I feel that's a fair rule or rule of thumb, I guess. But if you've got more goals than that, you should be looking to drop punt it.
Will Hoskin-Elliott stood on the boundary line and drop punted it straight through the middle.
And he has form with that.
And he probably couldn't see daylight between those posts, and it was at night, so that's obviously doesn't help. But he wouldn't have been able to see anything between those posts, and he drop punted it straight through the middle. It's absolutely absurd that any elite footballer can't kick a drop punt from there.
If you can't kick a drop punt from there, it's not that you can't do it, it's that you're head fucked. You have no confidence in it that you have to go with that, and that says more about you than the ease or lack of ease of actually putting it through.
If you kick a point by kicking a drop punt from there, no one's laughing at you.
No, everyone's just
they
are.
Turn around to this, but not like
not the same way.
Laughing at him now.
Yeah, no. But if you kick a point with a drop punt, that's a fucking shitty skill error. But you're not a dopey cunt.
There's no way Ollie Wines kicks it out on the full by kicking a drop punt from where it was.
He gives it a chance. You mentioned Will Hoskin-Elliott, so we'll go to Collingwood Sydney, which was yet another close game. Jeez, you poor bastards. Fucking
brave.
Fucker.
No, this one wasn't brave. This was bad luck running into Bud. After, he must have had a pretty good week.
He must have trained for 40 minutes this week instead of the 20 he's been training for the rest of the year. Give me a fucking break. Why does he turn beast mode this week?
That was the only reason they beat you. What, he kicked 7 out of 11 goals or something? 6 out of 11 goals.
4.
4.
3 of them on Darcy Moore and 3 on the first game off. Make you fucking sick. Dead set. He's done nothing for weeks. It was always going to happen. Always going to happen. When they started talking about how little he trains and how cooked he is, and oh god. Anyway.
It was pretty funny to see them carry on like they won the grand final. Like, there's still some massive flaws there. He has to drag them over the line single-handedly to beat a team with injuries who were already down to 21 players and had no opponent for him. It's...
I like the McCartan goal.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I did.
That's nice.
Well, it was. I'm not trying to rub it in. It's a smart, clever goal. It's similar to the Higgins goal from last week.
Tom's already gone past patty cakes.
You guys see the secret message in the Magpie banner?
Bit hard to miss. Their banner form's been good this year.
No, it's quality, and even Patrick McGinley gave us credit on Twitter today.
Danny.
Danny Patrick. What idiot. Yeah, Danny McGinley. I almost said Patrick McGinnity. Don't know where that came from. Yeah, that feeling when someone takes your idea and does a better job with it. Bravo, Collingwood, banner premiers 2018.
Mainly because he's been delisted.
Mainly because he got fired for not making jokes that they laughed at anymore.
Don't think the dogs laugh at anything anymore. Anything else on that game? Not sold. I think that's just an aberration. Both
sold
ways.
on who? Sydney or Collingwood?
Sydney. I still don't see them playing finals at all.
I don't think you could walk away from that game and say you weren't sold on Collingwood. We weren't terrible.
Yeah, no, you're brave.
No, you
Don't
were brave.
say that.
Being brave.
No, we were not brave. And if you followed me on Twitter, Dan, you would know that I didn't like being called brave this week.
I don't follow you on Twitter.
No, I do. So stop tweeting to MMA people. I don't give a fuck.
But I follow the MMA though.
Yeah, but don't tweet to them because it pops up on my feed and I don't care.
Then don't follow me then. That's that simple.
Let's go to Hawthorn put the final nail in Essendon's coffin in some of the most glorious ways possible.
Yes.
I'm not sure which part I was happiest with. Dan's boy Warple outmuscling Hurley to seal it, or Goddard completely destroying all momentum by standing on the goal line. Yeah, where do we want to go with that?
Well, my boy Warple, I knew he was destined to do something like this. I wanted him at North desperately, but it wasn't to be.
You got UDL instead.
What I could see. Yeah, I mean, he's a talented player, but he's not James Warple. Yeah, he's in the twos at the moment, but Warple's just he's just going to be a star.
How did Geelong miss out on him?
Yeah, well, a lot of clubs missed out on James Warple. What did Geelong settle for?
No, it's some Tim Kelly flog.
Well, he's some nobody. He's just Daniel Wells in his peak at the moment. Some 22-year-old nobody.
Isn't he going back to WA?
I don't think he is now. I think
he might have settled.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He's a jet.
I think that if Gaff goes, the pick that they get for Gaff, they'll give to Geelong for Kelly.
Interesting.
Maybe. Interesting. Very interesting.
Write that down.
No, I'm not going to write it down.
Potentially Morgs was right. She'll remember it. Don't worry, Dan.
Don't you fucking worry about that.
It was
put in the vault.
Just post it on Twitter, so I'll remember later.
There is something greatly amusing about the fact that Brendan Goddard, with loose disposals out of the back line, continues to find ways to cost Essendon games. It's just like it's destined.
But it never gets less funny.
Oh, never, because he finds new ways to do it. Does he get smothered? No, this time he trots on the line and fucking goal from the ball up. Oh my god. I'll tell you what.
The sweetest karma ever.
Oh, it's brilliant. I'll tell you what though, I would have laughed if, with 10 points up and 30 seconds to go, when Essendon put that first one through, if Hawthorn managed to let that one slip inside, 2 goals in the last 15 seconds, that would have been an all-timer. But I'm still happy with how it all panned out. It was very funny. They've been, James Hird, everyone will be scared. We can win the flag. Nah, not from outside the 8, you can't.
Did he say we?
I don't know. Same deal. Isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't be saying we. People that just don't want nothing for obvious reasons.
I bet he did nothing wrong, apparently.
Did anyone go to Mitchell? I forget because he just
they just
what he
didn't
wanted
tag him,
again.
and he got 40 odd again.
He's going to win the Brownlow because no one wants to tag this guy.
Because no one's left.
Yeah, Gaff's gone now too. Maybe if Mitchell gets suspended, fucking.
I was going to say, if Mitchell gets suspended, could this be like the worst Brownlow medalist since Shameway Woden?
Last man standing.
Oh, no. I mean, if Max Thorne wins it, I mean, that's worthy.
Yeah, but he might get suspended too.
Not even the best ruckman in the league.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. I mean, Grundy's brave, but Max Thorne's a superstar.
Oh, Scott Pendlebury.
Scott Pendlebury's $51.
Mm.
Oh, it says 67 here.
Oh.
Get on it.
They're predicting 12 votes so far.
Oh,
Didn't he do really well last year, surprisingly?
he always does well.
Brownlow medal winning skipper, Scott Pendlebury.
He was lucky. He was lucky to escape my tears this week.
It's one thing for me. It's one thing for me to shit on Critters, but you can't shit on Pendlebury for potentially winning a Brownlow.
Can you not call him Pendlebury? It's Pendlebury.
Embleberry.
Not Scott Embleberry. There was a thread on the Collingwood board this week that was a roast of Scott Pendlebury and Steel Side Bottom, and it got locked because people got very upset.
Need a black and a white thread.
And now I think the thread got deleted because I can't see it anywhere. I thought it was a great thread.
Final close game of the round was the first of the round, which was Richmond Geelong, where the little mercenary himself managed to fuck it up in the last minute, or last 2 minutes. And, yeah.
Well, you got lucky there. Usually he kicks those.
Well, maybe a little bit. We need a lot of luck to go our way, apparently, speaking of salty coaches before. Does any team need much more luck than Geelong this year? They're both their Melbourne games, if they'd gone differently. But yeah, it was a pretty intense game, but...
It was a very close game. It was a good game.
I felt...
Yeah. Liked a little bit more of input from your captain, but, you know...
He was our third highest disposal getter, Dan.
Well, yeah, I've been reminded of that on a number of occasions as well.
Well, you probably should have checked the full game stats before you went off half-cocked.
I can tell you all these other things off the top of my
head.
head.
How many clearances and tackles he had?
He had 43 acts of what do you call them? Pressure acts. He's premiership captain. He's a Brownlow medalist. He's a superstar. I mean, but to be fair, he only touched it 19 times though. I mean, he's not doing much with the ball.
No, we only had two guys who touched it more than 20 times, and we won, and we were wasteful. So what?
Yeah, but his role in the team is to be a contested midfielder.
And he did that.
Okay.
Don't get autistic.
He's not getting tagged. No, don't accuse me of being autistic. He doesn't get tagged. We know that. He doesn't play forward. So he's playing his role in the midfield and only in the midfield. And he only touched it 19 times. He's had 19 or less for the last 4 weeks.
And he still played well.
But he needs to have a higher output if he is playing only in the midfield.
Well, he doesn't, because we're winning games and he's doing exactly what we need him to do when we need him to do that. Like, don't get so fixated on stats. Like, you tell us that Andrew Gaff's a stat merchant because he wrapped up junk disposals, but now supposedly numbers matter. You shouldn't get fixated on the stats without considering the context. That's what an autistic person would do. Anything else out of Richmond Geelong?
It's a good game.
No,
Yeah, I went. It was good.
It was a finals level intensity, pre-finals. It was a bit of a preview.
Yeah, got lucky.
I was in the standing area and some girl tried to have a bite of my pie.
What?
You've had a weird year. Andrew Lee and Charlie's touched your teeth, and some girls tried to
That
eat
was
your
weird.
food.
But so she had this filthy looking bratwurst, and she's like, "This animal died last week. It's been sitting here cooked for a week. It's disgusting. Blah blah blah." I couldn't care less. Just was trying to watch football, and then she's like, she looks at Jimmy. She goes, "Can I have a chip?" And he's like, okay. And so she took one of his chips and she's like, oh, I should have got chips. And she goes, can I have a bite of your pie?
Oh.
And like leant in to bite it. And I was like, no.
No, can you not?
No. So we didn't stand there very long.
Jesus Christ.
Like, goodbye.
That is some real homeless bogan shit.
As soon as a goal got kicked, we ran and hid. She made the guy next to her hold who she didn't know hold her glass of wine while she tried to eat the bratwurst. So he just had to stand there for 10 minutes holding her drink.
Oh, I would have given it back and said I have to take a piss and done a runner.
But then she can't buy any chips or a pie for herself.
Well, she bought a bratwurst, but it wasn't good, so she wanted to eat everyone else's food.
Oh,
fuck me. Anything else on Richmond, Geelong?
Richmond looked okay. They got lucky in the end.
Apparently, yeah. Made lots of luck.
Needs to be better.
Chris Scott's like the equivalent of you, Dan.
Why?
Luck.
Team should have won.
Oh God. Team should have won. Fuck me.
Why do you get so stroppy over criticism of Richmond? What's just?
No, I'm just really amused by the fact he seemed to watch a different game to everybody else.
You get angry over criticism, whether it's warranted or not. You can't handle constructive criticism of Richmond in any facet. Whether
okay, but it's just there's no logic. There's no logic behind it. We smashed them. We had 20 odd.
It doesn't have to be logic. This is a Bay 13 podcast. You just accept it,
it's not even a disagreement with you dickhead. It's just mocking Chris Scott, mocking a Scott brother for being an idiot and oppressor again. Let's move on from that game to the games that don't matter. There's only one that I really want to touch on, and it's just, is this rock bottom for Carlton?
Yeah, if you lose to 16 people, that's rock bottom.
Yeah,
that is pathetic. Like, there is...
Your coach hasn't played a single game of the football. One leading it. It's not good.
It's just, as someone said, I think on SEN, that I think it was SEN I was listening to, basically said, how can the leadership group, when they realise that's happening, not send the message around, or the coaches send the message around, hey, they're playing at 16, let's fucking up the intensity and get some fucking scoreboard pressure and put some pride into this instead of laying down. It's just... It's
they
incredible.
Really only have 16 on the field?
Sorry?
Yeah.
They really only have 16 on the field?
For a large chunk of the last quarter, and they outscored Carlton.
That is disgusting. What is wrong with Carlton?
They're an absolute fucking basket case.
How much did they win by?
105.
105 points. That should have been 140 or 150 point loss.
But yeah, GWS. They had 18 fit players, and it's not like they were down to the injuries either. They didn't have 6 injured players, they had 4 injured players, but they wanted to rotate 2. They wanted to still have rotations and give their players a rest. So they decided to play with 16. Like, it wasn't even a forced change, it was more of they adapted and went, this is better for us than playing 18 out there the whole time.
It's just like some unintentional trolling. Like, we can still outscore you with less players on the field.
Yeah, well,
you guys are shit.
I don't think that's why they went out there. They went out there going, we're up by 80 points. If we play 16, you won't bring the margin back. And instead, they outscored them. It's just absolutely pitiful. But couldn't happen to a nicer team, I don't think. Games that don't matter, continuing on with that. The only thing out of St Kilda Dogs, apart from St Kilda being fucking absolutely limp, is that Freezer played his first game. It happened, Morgs.
Did it?
Yeah.
Haven't heard.
Haven't heard?
No. Haven't been tagged. Haven't heard.
It definitely happened, and I don't know how he went, but I don't think he got injured. So, yeah.
So he didn't kick the match winner? Didn't lift his team over the line?
No, well, he couldn't really kick a match winner when they lost by 35 points.
Oh, what a shame.
To the Dogs. They got outscored in the second half by the Dogs. We shouldn't overlook that.
Didn't they kick like 7 goals in 6 minutes or something?
Something like that, yeah.
They let Bontempelli kick 4 goals in a quarter.
What were you doing?
Apparently, Paul Roos said they were playing selfish, basically playing for contracts. Which is, not even Carlton were doing that. Carlton just lay down, whereas St Kilda's the every man for himself. Which is exactly the sort of thing that doesn't get you a contract, just quietly, I wouldn't think, but yeah.
Oh, time to give the Goddard kid a game, I think. Being wasted, being a non-playing leadership group. Dude, give him a game.
Go get your leaders in. And
yep.
The only other game of the round that we haven't looked at was Melbourne thumped the Suns. Suns are a rabble. Nothing to see here.
Yep.
But we will go from there to the talking points, segueing straight to the first one, which is the Gold Coast Suns. Tom Lynch is out, confirmed.
Where's he going?
Where's he going, Starburns?
I saw something where it was highlighted that Tom Lynch had recently followed Scott Pendlebury on Twitter.
For what for? For his cracking gags? Real highbrow humour?
Well, I mean, just read into that what you will.
Better than following Dan, MMA people in.
Yeah, if you want MMA updates and me asking questions and things like that, then yeah, follow me.
All signs point to where? What do you reckon, Starburns?
Well, all signs at the moment seem to be pointing to us.
Are they?
It seems that way.
Why?
Has he said
What
no
signs?
to North?
What signs are you reading? The last thing you need is another tall forward.
I know. I'm just trying to play it. Say no.
Just another player say no.
It's a desperate guy at the bar that's trying to chat up every chick in the place, and they all say no.
Hungry for some more rejection. Why do you think that you're
Okay, so not all signs.
Right now?
The only sign I can see that goes against this is that we've managed to re-sign a few players in the recent weeks, which we could go one of either two ways. But generally,
if you read your board, that means he's definitely coming because you've re-signed these players.
That's mental gymnastics. It could go that way, but I doubt that would be the only cautionary tale against it. Yeah, I would say that would be the reason it would go against, but every other suggestion seems to be that he's coming to Richmond.
So why was Ned Guy at his house last week?
Apparently.
If you tell me he turned up there unannounced, you're going to fucking cop it. Because that's what some dead shit on the Richmond board tried to tell me this week. That Ned Guy turned up there unannounced to his family's house in Blair Gowrie. On the off chance that him and his manager were there at the same time.
Apparently to clear up some of the Bucks comments is the rumour.
Couldn't do that on the phone? Okay.
Also, the fact that it was media covered suggests that maybe it was leaked to make it look like he's still making up his mind. But who knows? It'll play out as it plays out. We don't need to talk about it every fucking week, except for the fact that...
What if he goes to Hawthorn, guys, and you both miss out?
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind where he goes.
Not really that fussed either.
No, I'm not that invested that we need him. To be like, I don't feel that our success will not hinge on him, and Richmond certainly won't.
No, he would be good for our medium to longer term prospects, but in the short term, he does nothing for us really, except potentially push a player or two out the door. Though we've re-signed
potentially
a couple.
Destabilise
And potentially destabilise. Yes, correct.
What is a very
solid culture,
cohesive group.
Yes, exactly right. So,
whereas we've got a fuckload of mercenaries, we don't give a fuck.
Anyway.
But in answering your question, Dan, I think we would offer more money. No, like nothing compared to what Gold Coast will offer.
But it's not about money.
But it's not about money to him. Because if you wanted money, you'd stay there.
And that's why I don't think he's going to Hawthorn, because I don't think they can offer him on field what he wants the same way Richmond or Collingwood could at the moment. I think you'd be definitely most comfortable going to Richmond out of the three clubs and then Collingwood next. Whereas Hawthorn, I think, are a fair way back in as far as how far that list can go. Does anyone disagree with the fact that Hawthorn are clearly the third string there?
Yeah, no, I think it's between your team and my team.
I think the Hawthorn thing's...
Yeah. I think North have a better chance than Hawthorn.
Well, let's not go overboard. You get an Andrew Gaff. It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny to see him immediately sacked from the captaincy, and then.
Well, they're kind of compelled to do that, though.
Yeah, they are, and everyone's talking about the fact that, well, on the Richmond board anyway. Fucking, I can't believe I read that thread, but they're all going on about how sulky the Gold Coast are. Oh please! If Brett Deledio had have come out before we traded him and actually said that shit early, they would be feral as fuck over that. Like, please.
The fact that the Gold Coast even care is something.
Yes. Enough to say fuck off, then.
Yes. This is how you build a football club. This is how you build a culture at a football club.
And you don't let Gary Ablett just fuck off home but the first minute it gets tough.
All of a sudden now they are starting to care. Good. So they should. And anybody who's whining about that has no idea. They would do the same thing if the shoe was on the other foot. But Lockie Weller has no right to say that Tom Lynch is disloyal because he wasn't drafted to the Suns.
He was drafted to Freo for all of 2 years.
Is Stephen May going to?
I think so. They'd be smart to get rid of May this year while they can still get something for him rather than him leaving as a free agent.
Well, the thing that I ponder there is how much more would they get letting him go as a free agent compo, considering he might attract what Lynch does, or close to, get them the same draft picks, whereas they could hold firm and maybe try and turn him round.
Well, that depends on the sort of year he has next year.
Depends on the sort of year they have, really. I don't know. Like you say, stand firm. In that case, I would stand firm.
In terms of team importance, he's just as important and as good as Lynch is, I think.
We need a Stephen May more than we need a Tom Lynch.
And I think out of him and Lynch, I think he's more likely to actually just go, you know what, fuck it, I will hang around. Whereas if Lynch got matched on, I think shit would hit the fan. Whereas I think if May explored an exit and it didn't happen, he'd come back. He seems to have more character just looking in.
Yep, I agree. But I had a cracking week on the Richmond board in the Tom Lynch thread. It was a very fun time.
I had a cracking week too, and I didn't post a thing on that board.
Well, I think they were very accommodating. They didn't kick me out. I didn't get in trouble at all, and I had a lot of fun. Kudos to them.
They're a lovely bunch. I like them.
Yeah, you cool. You fucking two-face.
Except for the dead shit that told me that he went there unannounced.
Still on Gold Coast, did anyone see Mark Evans kind of do something we'd expect from Tony Cochrane?
The suing stuff.
The suing player managers who tell their clients not to go to the Gold Coast. I don't know how you could do that. Like, I know there's draft tampering, but telling them it's not a good career move, I don't think is draft tampering unless the kid refuses to go.
Yeah, I don't know how that would hold up in court.
I don't know what he's even thinking he's suing for. Yeah. Breach of contract? I don't think you need it. If the kid refuses to play, I guess. But
the fact that he would say that tells me that there's something in it regarding kids not wanting to go.
Oh, definitely.
To that club. Yeah.
Definitely. And maybe someone's circulating it. But
and the only thing you can do is just create an environment in which people want to be around in.
4 years ago.
If Brisbane can turn it around, anyone can.
Yeah.
Because I bet that this year you will have kids that will have the nerve to actually say, you know, I'll honour my contract, but I'm from this state, or
the
whatever,
Chad Wingard.
and I might go home. I mean, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There isn't. It's only a problem if they refuse to go, if they hold out and they say, I'm not coming up to play. then they're in breach of contract, and yes,
if you get a scenario like Kavanagh Essendon and his dad going to North straight up saying if you draft him, he's going to quit. I mean, that's as blatant as it gets.
Yeah, well, that came out as karma anyway. But yeah, I'd have liked to see how that went if he tried it.
Yeah.
Good luck to those dickheads.
Just draft people from Queensland.
It's a very odd comment to make because it seems so ridiculous. It's just like and it's desperate, and it's just like we got nothing else to do, so we're going to sue you.
Yeah, that doesn't help. It doesn't help your plight.
No,
saying those sort of things. It doesn't make you more desirable of a place to want to invest in. If you're an 18-year-old and you want to have a 10-year career in the AFL, he just shouldn't have said anything.
It is a bit of a busted club, though. The rumour I'd never heard, I don't recall ever hearing before I heard it this week, was apparently when O'Meara left, or announced he was leaving, a whole bunch of players cheered. And Stephen May told him to shut up. And it's just like, who the fuck says when someone wants out that they give him a fucking clap? Like, my God. It seems like something, it's like the in-house equivalent of St Kilda's banners. Just weird. Something that Dan would relate to, we're getting into administration talking point here, the gentleman's agreement.
Gentleman's agreement regarding what?
To play attacking football.
Play what?
Did you miss the AFL's gentleman's agreement that the coaches would sign to play attacking football?
The gentleman's agreement to playing more attacking football. Did I hear that right?
Yes, the AFL basically forcing a gentleman's agreement on the coaches for next year. Instead of changing rules, that the coaches will promise to play attacking football. A gentleman's agreement.
Pinky swear.
No, but I mean, how would that work though? So, for example, if you're
don't clog up the game.
2 points and there's a minute to go, you can't put extras back in defence?
Basically saying try to adhere to some of it, but we're not going to force you to because we don't really want to do that because we're losing the battle.
No coach will stick to that.
Good luck getting Ross Lyon on board.
They're going to try and win at all costs. I mean, it's better to win ugly than to look good and lose.
Yes, and this is one of the strangest suggestions ever. I can't believe it actually happened. It's so April Fool's. It is.
This isn't the Tour de France where the guy in the yellow Guernsey on the last day just gets old. I mean,
no one attacks him.
Yeah.
This
won't work. This is stupid.
It's just like, and gentlemen's agreements don't work in general. Like when you have a gentleman's agreement that everyone's going to tip with the coin, and then only one person does.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm the one that's stupid doing that. No one else.
Gentleman's agreement. They're very easily broken.
Come back, Cookson. We need your coin idea again.
Flying prawn. Anything else on the gentleman's agreement?
It's a stupid idea, and it's an idea that not every coach will stick to.
No coach will stick to it. If you stick to it, you're a dumb coach.
Yeah, it's dumb.
This is like one of those like Survivor agreements. Yeah. I promise. Like I'll be loyal. I'll be whatever. Shake hands. Knife you in the back.
And then everybody will welch.
Let's talk about Survivor.
It's not.
Mo Hope is killing it. Just saying.
Oh, God.
I don't care.
You did mention Mo Hope, though. We will quickly touch on the other big story, talking point from the week, was the awful season getting cut, or supposedly going to get cut by a week.
Yeah, I've read some of the backlash. The girls are not happy.
Cry me a river.
So what was? How many weeks did the entirety of the season last?
Seven weeks with a final, so 8 weeks. Now they're getting
8 weeks.
2 weeks of finals, and it's cutting down to 6. I think just because purely because I think the fixturing of it is they don't want to play 7 and have
Is that locked in, or is it up for
No,
change?
it's not confirmed. It found its way out there. But Gil put his foot in his mouth over the World Cup thing, which was really fucking stupid.
I heard that too. That's a dumb comparison. Why don't they just start a little bit earlier?
Well, because then you get into the tennis. Their big problem is they don't have a TV deal, and 7 aren't going to sign one that encroaches on the cricket season or the AFL season. So they're confined to a...
Fox footy? They can't step in?
Maybe, but I don't know how lucrative it is for Fox Footy to broadcast it when they have... Yeah.
What if you got the AFL...
It might not be lucrative, and I get that. But what was the point in starting this competition if you're going to cut it down 2 years into it? What is the point in bringing more teams into it if you're now going to compromise the whole fucking thing?
Well, that was where they fucked it up. They committed to too many teams because they...
You get a team and you get a team, and in 2 years you get a team, and now we can't even play each other once. What an absolute joke.
This was never going to happen once 14 teams came in anyway. They were going to conference it up anyway. This is just preparing people for it.
Are you saying that the biggest issue is the broadcasting, and they can't do it earlier?
Well, because there's no TV deal, no one 7 don't really want to show it or to pay for it the way the AFL need them to.
Live streaming on the AFL website as a compromise.
But how's that make them the money that it's going to cost them to run the league? It's not going to be free. If they put more games on, the players are going to want more money.
You keep the integrity of the competition, and you just got to understand that not every game is going to be on TV.
But that's not really the point, though, is it?
Not everything has to be about money.
Yes, but if you pay the players, money's got to come into it somewhere.
Well, they could make money off a stream. I mean, they can have advertisements on it and things like that.
Yeah, Optus didn't work for Optus too well, but
Optus are hopeless.
In the AFL, I don't see the big deal. Like, when they went to 14, they're probably going to cut to... Like, they've been hinting conferences since expansion came in.
You don't see the big deal because you don't really care about it.
That's true. And even if when Richmond has a team, I'll care about that degree. But really, these are the commercial realities of a league that wouldn't exist without the AFL actually subsidising it. So I'm not really concerned whether they're offended or not. You know, you can't just bite the hand that feeds you.
I wouldn't say that I'm the most avid follower of women's football, but I know every one of our players. I go and watch our games.
They're all playing for North next year.
And they're all playing for North next year, so that's great. Hopefully you don't get to play us because we're not going to play everybody. Ha 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 ha. But
apparently the Northland team's in the premiership next year.
Yeah, it'd be the biggest choke in history if you don't. But
yeah.
Apparently you cheated getting all your players too. You're pretty underhanded.
I care about this, and I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I don't think there should be a reduction in the games.
Then how do you run a league which is going to be 14 teams within?
Then
how do you run that
surely
league?
Have some foresight and don't include that many teams. Push it back. Tell the other teams they can't come in yet.
Well, no,
it's too late now.
The horse is bolted on that. The AFL fucked it up by aligning with existing clubs because it was quick and easy to do it that way when they really should have just gone
with Darebin and
not quite Darebin, but something more generic in Victoria at least. That's how they should have done it, and then they would have only ended up with 2 per state, maybe 4 in Victoria.
Start earlier and you just tell people that we can't for now. For this season, we just can't televise the earlier games.
I think Innocent Point 7 don't want to televise it, and they don't want to pay to televise it outside of.
Oh, you mean like it's in a similar way that they did this year? They don't want to do that next year.
But they don't want to do it outside the little window that's been put aside initially because they went and got the cricket.
Can they not sell it to 9?
Well, yeah,
they probably could, but 9 and 10.
Channel 31.
They haven't sold it, so yes, they could sell it to them, but none of them are buying. So, yeah, it seems to be for all that's going on, it doesn't seem that anyone's quite in for whatever reason.
Everyone wants to be seen to be supporting it, but no one wants to pony up the cash.
Yeah, I guess because maybe it's not
because it's not financially viable.
Yeah, which TV networks don't do that. The AFL have to.
They don't pay for women's sports.
No, the AFL have to stomach some of the cost in setting up the league, but I think they expected that some of that would be offset by now by TV, but the only way to do that is to package it the way Seven want it, and perhaps Fox Footy want it.
Are Channel 7 doing this at all next year, or they're just doing it in
the window?
I think they're banking on the fact that no one else is going to do it, and they're going to get it on the cheap in the way that they want it. It's a poker game, but at the moment they're winning because the AFL can't afford to call the bluff on it and say we're going to go this way, whether you like it or not, and go straight to Foxtel, which puts it off free-to-air TV.
They're not really making money from attendances because the games are free to attend.
And if we know anything about televised sport, you need to be on free-to-air to really keep yourself exposed. You need to have a fair free-to-air presence, which the Awful only has 2 games a week, I think, currently. And if it's going to 5 next year and it still only stays 2, that's less teams on and less rounds and all the shit that goes with it. I don't see why the finals couldn't be played during the season itself. Like, no one plays on a Sunday night and they're one-off games. But
that's another option. You creep into the earlier start of the AFL season.
But no, the early part of the AFL season is literally the worst time because it would get cannibalised because at the early part of the AFL season, basically everyone watches everything because no one knows who's good or shit yet, really. And after being starved of it for 6 months, people are naturally just going to watch more of it then. Maybe they could have moved it to October, but then they'd have a few more weeks, October, November, and run it through finals when there's no games on. But, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't care that they're playing one less game, six rounds and 2 weeks of finals. So what? The Big Bash used to run off something similar. But I guess I'm on my own on that.
Maybe they'll sort it out. No, I think you got to keep the integrity. I mean, if you're being genuine about a new frontier.
But there's nothing about conferences that doesn't have integrity because they're separate leagues that play off at the end. Like, people are averse to it, but it's not like it's an unfair system. It's no less fair than what we currently have with 22 rounds and 17 shit. In fact, it's probably more so. I don't know. Sorry, go on.
No, nothing really more to add. I just prefer to keep it as it is. I don't think you should have less games. And it does, from the outside looking in, it does look like a bit of a slide on the AFL seriousness about the women's competition when you bring in more teams and you have less games.
I don't think the less games thing's good, but I just don't see the alternative. An alternative that actually makes sense.
It's a really difficult window because you're trying to get it in before the AFL season, but you've got all these summer sports that are just
correct
going to grab more attention, and you can't do it after the final series because everyone's footy fatigued.
Well, that's probably the other problem with that. Yeah,
can't we play it in winter?
Well, no one's going to watch it in winter. There's already 9 games a week of football.
There's nothing on a Saturday on Channel 7.
That's true, but that's one game. That's like one game around, and there's fucking 5 of them.
Oh well.
And then you don't get the grassroots shit and all the other,
hopefully
they go
they
back
can
to the
resolve it,
VFL.
and both parties can find some sort of middle ground.
I'm disappointed.
And the AFL never let it get cannibalised anyway by running it up against the other one. They would rather take on another sport than have it take on the biggest sport in the country that fucking soccer can't topple and basketball can't topple.
I get that. So, what if it went from October?
Well, if they ever keep it, and I hope they don't, the pre-finals bye, that's the week you kick it off, and then you stagger it through finals during the daytime. Yeah.
When there's 2 games on a weekend.
Correct, because there's only 4 for the first weekend. Then you run it through to November. And if you ever end up with the 22-round season, you take the break through the hottest part of summer and you bring it back for a little stretch at the end.
Yep.
But that's when you get to 18 teams and a longer season.
And we're not getting there yet. But we need, at the moment, we need to have a competition where everybody plays each other once. We shouldn't be decreasing games from what we had this year and last year. It should be growing and not becoming smaller.
I don't disagree they shouldn't decrease games, but I don't care about one game less either. Like, it's...
You don't care about the whole thing?
Not really, but I still, at the same time, I see the realism.
So you're like, well, I don't care, but if I did care, then I wouldn't care. Whereas I care, and I care. So my opinion is worth more.
Why don't you care, Starburns?
Because I don't care about women's football in the same way that you don't care about women's football, and that's fine. No one's asking you to care about it. But for the people who do, no, shut up, Dan. Don't make that what this is. That's not what this is. As a product, you don't need to like it, and that's not because you're sexist. It's because it is an inferior product, and that's okay.
Yeah, like
you're a dickhead. It's an inferior product. That's all it is.
It's an inferior product, and maybe in the first round or two of the season, I'll have a watch, and then I'll probably switch over to the JLT, or when Richmond get a team, that might be the only game I watch per week. But it's not uncommon for me to watch 5 or 6 games on a weekend of football in the AFL season, whereas you'd never find me doing that with the awful. Like, I don't believe the league should fold, and I'm not one of those morons who thinks they should play AFLX to make it look more attractive. It's just, even I have a limit as to how much football I can be bothered watching.
Why do you hate women?
You're an idiot, Dan.
Goodbye, Dan.
Because you're a little. Is it because you're a little man? And
they're all taller than him, and he doesn't like
it. They're all tall.
You don't need to justify it. Shut up, Dan.
Well, I support women's football.
Good on you, Dan.
I do.
You're the hero that we don't even deserve.
Not as much as you, but I do watch some of the women's games, and I'll be watching the North team next year.
Yeah, now that you've got Mo Hope, you'll be watching. I hope you've been watching her on Survivor too.
You know I haven't. I haven't. No, I shouldn't.
She's been very good.
I don't care. You can stay on the island.
But then who are you going to watch? Caitlin Ashmore? You need to learn these players' names, Dan.
And the ruckman that we got from Collingwood as well, she's pretty good.
Emma? Yes.
Yeah. Who else did we get? We got Carney, we got Garner.
I'm pretty sure he plays for your men's team.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Whatever you do, don't merge with Hawthorn. Never give in to them.
I'm going to play in a women's team next year. Sorry, Anna Mouncy, I meant. Not mine. Mouncy.
No, I forgot about Mouncy. Yeah, you might have Mouncy too.
No. We're not getting Gaff and we're not getting Mouncy. We've taken all the stars from other clubs. We're not getting Mouncy. She's going to Collingwood or Carlton, I think.
I don't mind where she goes.
Would you be okay with her playing at Collingwood?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Is she going to add something to our team?
It's a man.
We won't get into that, Dan.
She still has her genitals, Morgan. I mean, it's a bit...
Have you checked?
Well, she's basically... In an open mic interview...
Dan, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
We can do this.
We're not
she
doing
must
this.
play for Collingwood.
She can play for Collingwood. I'm not opposed to that. If she's going to contribute positively to our team and would do that on her merits as a footballer, then that's fine. If she's going to be drafted as a gimmick, I'm not interested.
That's the other thing. A part of it will be a gimmick because people will watch because she's in the...
Well, we don't need people to watch us. We're not a club that relies on gimmicks.
You're right. That sounds like something my club would do, and I am a little fearful that she might be playing it.
Yeah, so if you're going to throw around the gimmick thing, just make sure she's not fucking walking in your back door. Or your front door.
I wouldn't want her coming in my back door or any door. Right?
Okay. Next. Sean Burgoyne signed another contract.
Yeah, he might close in on 400.
It's good. Good for the game. Champion.
He's only got to go
How many
2 more
games
years,
has he
mostly
played?
uninterrupted. He passed 350 this year, so that season plus one more
Get there.
should get
He
him.
would need two more seasons and some finals.
No. He's past 350. He's already he'd be closing in on 360 before, or he'd probably be past 360 by the time the season's over.
But he would still need 2 seasons.
Yes, fuck, that's what I said.
Oh, God. We have to debate the fucking way of the world with this man, and he can't add up 2 seasons.
Well, you're still stroppy about the AFL women's. Just get over it. They'll sort it out, all right?
What?
And Mancy might play for Collingwood.
Is it 353?
Well, it wasn't that long ago. He got to 350. Yeah.
No.
But he'll still, by the time this season's out, he'll be at 356, which is, at the very least, which is 44 games, 2 seasons, and not including finals or an injury or 2.
You'll need 2 seasons, Starburns.
Oh, fuck. Shit.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yes. Honestly, I've lost complete control. I've lost complete control in this episode somewhere during the
during the intro.
Have you ever
so I
had
think
control?
well, no one can quite control you, but we try.
no.
It's like how Joe Waitley has to control Robbo, or at least he tries. You're our drunken buffoon.
I think they said that because Adam Goods has played the most games as an Indigenous Australian, isn't that right? I believe so.
Yes, at about 370 odd.
Yes, 372. So hopefully Sean Burgoyne will pass that. But it would only take one season, wouldn't it, Dan?
It'll only take 1 season.
Oh, fuck
Good
me.
maths. I'll just set him up. You whack him at the ball.
Speaking of Burgoyne re-signing, how about West Coast and Sam Mitchell and this little interesting saga of Mitchell potentially wanting to come back to Melbourne and West Coast calling his bluff and saying, "Oh, you can work out our Docklands office, but we're not releasing you."
I think that's valid.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I don't know if it's the best thing for them to do the old Dean Laidley Skype coaching, but
it doesn't work.
at least they're holding firm.
Where's Wishette? I want to hear it. I want to hear what Wishette has to say.
About
I want to hear what
Mitchell.
Wishette has to say about this. Because, it was worthwhile to get him and give up a spot on the list for what he was going to bring for the 5 years. Still worth it?
And his leaving has had a negative effect on that playing group. Like, Gaff fucking lashed out over it on the weekend.
Yeah. I blame Sam Mitchell.
He's furious. He feels like he's been abandoned by his new mentor. And
and so now Gaff's going to follow Sam Mitchell wherever he goes to North Melbourne.
Anyway, this week on the Bay, I think we'll go to thread of the week. What do we got?
Oh, screw it. I'm just going to nominate my own thread on the
Dan,
Bay.
shut up. I was going to nominate your thread. I could find it.
Oh, it gets 2 nominations now.
On current form, should Cochin be dropped?
I'm going to go with a main board thread as my nom, because this one actually
let me
survived.
guess.
This one actually
Let me guess
survived
who
on the
made
main
it.
board.
This is welcome to the Reach Around cast.
The reach around cast. Who did you just nominate?
That's what I mean. You're going to nominate
Oh,
someone
right.
for you too.
Yeah, I'm going to nominate. How did Geelong miss out on Warple? I think it is from Brain Power. It got a few mashes for a troll, and all were rejected. So, which amuses me greatly. The Geelong supporters did not like it, but yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Well, that one probably deserves to be a winner because that one didn't get moved.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Got mashed on heavily. Yeah.
Yes, yours got mashed on too, but I think
heavily mashed on.
But you got. You got done. I can't think of any threads that were started on the Bay, though, off the top of my head.
There was one funny title. Where was it? Jasmine had it. Please delete the thread. I made it when I was feeling emotional. I haven't clicked on it, but the thread title just made me giggle. When it comes to thread title,
Lethality made a thread called "This Week in AFL Thug Culture" before Andrew Gaff punched someone in the face.
I like good olds posting that. More people are watching soccer and they're exposed. Just twisting it around on Lethality's usual stick. No, I can't. I'm looking back. I can't really find anything else.
Give it the Warple thread.
How did Geelong miss out on him?
That with an honourable mention to my friend Dan for his good thread, which was backed up with statistics.
It was. It wasn't even. There was no troll.
There was no troll. You were just stating stats and facts.
It was.
Well done, Rain Man.
Yeah.
Flog of the week.
Bosk.
What for this time? Not another PML.
Yeah, PML. Tell me about the last PML.
Listen, I didn't see the last PM, and I haven't seen any else with regarding Bosk. So I'm sort of loath to nominate him.
Yeah, no, I don't think we can nominate.
Want to put me in the conversation?
Dan's just trying.
I can't.
Dan's just trying to get in the conversation.
This is my lubricant to try and get into this conversation. I can't really nominate him. I can't go on other people's second-hand information, so I can't nominate him. I'm sorry.
No, I was actually going to nominate the large amount of button mashers, just all of the button mashers that have been mashing around the site, all of them that have been mashing their way around the site over the weekend.
Mashers everywhere. There were quite a few on the Saturday night as well. There was mashing, like a lot of mashings. And, like, I see all the site reports. So this isn't the Bay, before anybody gets any ideas.
It wasn't Bayer. Bayer didn't have a big weekend. Well, it wasn't just Bayer.
It wasn't Bayer. There were no Bay reports here. This was all main board, team board, drafts and trading board, West Coast Freo board. People mashing on Dan for saying not sure. Yeah, so lots of mashes, and I think we'll give it to every masher, but I wanted to give some dishonorables, because to every fucking idiot, if anyone's seen this thread on the main board, it's about the Josh Jenkins behind and the goal review. Every fucking idiot who went in there saying the ball went in front of the post, so it didn't even go through the goals because they were watching the GIF in reverse. And that thread went to about the 7th or 8th page before everyone who was adamant that it went through the behinds had finally come to terms, and then it was okay overnight. Then someone comes in the morning and says the same fucking thing on the Sunday morning, and it started again, and it was peak stupidity. Like, big footy can be really dumb sometimes, but this was... You've got the argument as to whether it hit the post and the goal review system on one hand, which is, fair enough, let that roll. And then you got these people going, no, I'm telling you, it didn't even go through the goals. Which, yeah, that was bad. So, that's my dishonourable. But button mashers can win, I think. Any other dishonourables?
No.
Alright, so we've just lost Dan, so that's as good a reason as any to wrap it up. So this was the podcast for round 21. Starburns joined by Morgs.
Goodbye. Hope you get better, Dan.
Yeah.
Sure, the Indian will be out of your system soon.
Yeah. Probably should have had some bread with it just to thicken it up a bit.
Soak it up a bit.
Yeah. Make sure it didn't...
If only you had your own bread maker.
Nice thick pieces of bread, slice of bread. That would do it.
Well, you'll learn next time.
Yeah, that's what we're here to help. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all when we're back next
Week.